Canada. Hello, United States of America. Greetings to all my friends here in Panama and to all of you all over the planet. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show, which is a Canadian podcast that has to run out of the country of Panama because communist Canada will put a bullet in my head if I say the things that I'm going to say tonight inside of the country of Canada. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. And tonight I'm going to let loose. Tonight, there no holds barred. Tonight, everybody, I truly have had enough of Canada's nonsense, and I've had enough of the vast majority of Canadians out there who still just don't get it. And there are a lot of Canadians out there who kind of inspired this show tonight called Why Canada Sucks, continuing to tell me that as a Canadian citizen, I'm wrong to have left Canada to move to this amazing country here, Panama, to get rich. I'm in Panama to get rich, not drunk, not high, not anything else. Rich. And Panama is a country absolutely full of money and full of opportunity. And I'm going to be covering Panama and Canada and the comparisons between Canada, Dubai, Canada, Ireland, Canada, Argentina, Canada, Panama, and so on. We're going to talk about all this stuff. There's a lot of things about Canada that many of you just do not know. And I'm just no longer in a mental frame of mind to hold my tongue. Before I left Canada, I had 152 court injunctions placed against me, which was stopping me from telling the truth about a great number of subject matters out there. And that, of course, is how a communist country will always function. They'll stop you from talking. Now, I got a big mouth, as you all can tell, and I certainly do not want to close my mouth at this particular time or ever, especially when I've got something to say. Now, growing up in the 1970s and the 1980s in Canada, I can tell you that we were right next door to the United States, which, of course, geographically Canada will always be. But American influence was exceptionally positive on Canada. It was amazing. Americans had freedom of speech, so the Canadian government had to back down and grant freedom of speech to its own citizens to ensure that Canadians would not just pick up and leave. But in 1994, there was a shift. The country began to go a little stupid, a little moronic, a little anti-white, a little bit of everything. So first big problem Canada had in 1994, there was an economic crash. It was bad. It was bad. And there was also a property crash, which was equally as bad, which had people paying between 18 and 30% mortgage rates on condominiums and crap houses that weren't worth a thing, only to have the market crash and have condos drop to about a fifth of their value and houses drop to a third of their value. And a lot of people just walked away from their homes because they simply could not support those homes. Then in 1994, the government of Canada said, hey, there's these things out there called white people. And white people come from this place called Europe. And, Canada's been built up by these white people from Europe. So why don't we stop all immigration from all these lovely white countries? And let's start having immigration from Lesotho, Sudan, South Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, all these countries that knew nothing about Canadian culture and had nothing to offer the Canadian people at all, except for pain and strife and misery. So when all this mass immigration came in from non-white countries, the part that we need to focus on here is, skin color, race, stature, genetics, all these things are different. And birds of a feather flock together. And when you try to put different birds of different species in the same cage, they don't get along. Dolphins and killer whales, the both of them are dolphins. They don't get along. Well, bottlenose dolphins and porpoises don't get along. Same species, different makeup, different color, different size, different behavior, different swimming patterns. They just don't get along. So all of this garbage was forced on Canadians. And then laws got brought into play that said, not only can you not criticize all these disgusting creatures that we're bringing in, but you have to like it and keep your mouth shut about it. Otherwise, you go to jail for 2 years. And that is where Canada just began to falter right off. Some new things in Canada began to form up. Maybe you've heard of this one. the Human Rights Commission of Ontario. All right. So in Canada, Canadians don't really think things through. So they would watch a lot of American television. And Canadians would think, oh, someone hurt my feelings. All right. I'm kind of like gay and like I like guys, and like this guy over there, like, cracked a joke about my gayness. I want money. So Canadians would just be suing everybody for their feelings getting hurt. And the courts got completely choked up with this stuff. So to free up the courts, there was this idea that why don't we have a human rights tribunal, which will be somewhere that people can take their grievances about each other into a tribunal, and the tribunal will issue or render judgments, freeing up the courts. Well, here's the way that this all played out. Let's say, and here's a real pathetic story. There was a morbidly obese woman in the province of Quebec who didn't want to walk an extra 60 feet from her parking spot in front of her apartment. She asked this dude, "Can I have your spot?" He said no, because he pays for the spot. She didn't pay for her spot. So this big fat pig goes to the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal, which was a copy of the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal. Hey, I'm big and fat and I can't walk without a cane. I want his parking spot. And she takes this guy to the tribunal. And here's the way it works. The tribunal is not a court. It's just a bunch of losers who pretend to have authority, which they don't. And her, the fat pig that was complaining about wanting a free parking spot, all of her legal fees are covered. All of it. But the guy had to hire a lawyer to defend himself. And it wasn't a judge in a court. It was losers at a desk in a tribunal in an office, not a courtroom. So this tribunal then states, yes, you have to give the parking spot up to the morbidly obese slob who can't walk properly. Yeah, you have to, because we say so. So in order to keep his parking spot, I like this guy already. What he did is he brought in a whole bunch of concrete bricks with rebar sticking out of them. He said, go ahead, park there. And then he appealed it to a real court and he won. But the very fact is that because a morbidly obese loser in Canada, and this is back in the 90s, wanted someone else's parking spot they paid for, this tribunal says, well, yeah, okay, because I guess what? She's disabled. What? Body positivity movement. What? She's a big fat loser, will never amount to anything. So let's give her something for free. That is a very big problem in Canada, is the human rights tribunals. Everyone mistakenly believes that they have authority. They really don't, but people do what they're told by these tribunals. So in order to free up the courts, all the courts ended up doing was presiding over the judgments of all of the Canadian human rights tribunals, which are disgusting at best. They truly are awful, awful institutions that have never once improved our society in any way. So that is one of the downfalls of Canada. Now, all Canadian provinces began to bring in these human rights tribunals, and anybody could make a complaint about anything. In Toronto, there was a guy who was cracking lesbian jokes, and there just so happened to be two lesbians in the audience. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever done stand-up comedy, but I can tell you that when you're standing on stage, there's a big, bright spotlight on you so that the whole audience can see you without shadows. And when you're looking at the audience, do you know what you see? A big light in your face. I can only recall twice doing professional comedy back in the 90s where I could actually see the crowd. The lights that are on you are just so overpowering you can't see the crowd. So it's not like this guy was able to actually see the lesbians in the crowd. So they take him to the Human Rights Tribunal saying, hey, we're lesbian. And he made jokes. And they awarded them $15,000. What did that do to Yuck Yucks, the comedy club chain? Their ticket sales dropped to the point where they had to close their Niagara Falls and Toronto locations. So the Human Rights Tribunal now allows losers to complain about winners on stage, entertaining people who are paying to see winners on stage, to shut down businesses of those who allow comedians to crack lesbian jokes. Now, what I'm telling you is commonly done today in the United Kingdom, in some of the Democrat states, in Canada, in Ireland, in Australia, and so on. But this started in 1994 in Canada. And whenever I was talking to people about this, saying this is a really dangerous precedent to set. Oh, you're just being silly. Don't worry about it. It's not going to go anywhere. These tribunals, they'll just disappear on their own. Canadians do this a lot. Nah, you're silly. Yeah, it'll stop. Well, here we are. It hasn't stopped. It's gotten worse. And now in Canada, you can go to jail for life for offending lesbians on social media. So imagine being in a Yuck Yucks club cracking lesbian jokes with a couple lesbians in the crowd, and they take offense. Now you go to prison. It's not just a $15,000 fine. It's prison time. Now, what has that done for Canada? It's chased away pretty much the last of the millionaires. There are no millionaires left in Canada worth talking about. Why would they want to stick around in a country where they're going to have a cigar in one hand, making a business deal? You know, they got their glass of bourbon, making a deal, and they come out and they crack some racist jokes and whatnot. Some loser who's not invited into the conversation hears it, and then all of a sudden, human rights tribunal or arrest or jail time or a fine and whatever else they choose to issue. It is absolutely, positively ridiculous that these things are allowed to exist, but Canadians are cowards and they let it happen. They just kept saying it's not going to ever affect us. It's not going to be a thing. Well, it's a thing. And it's not a good thing, not in any particular way. So if you're ever planning on visiting Canada, take it from a Canadian. I was born and raised in Canada. I had a great time in the 70s and 80s when the country was remarkable. But I would tell all of you, don't go. Stay away. The crime rate is through the roof, and the hate speech laws will get you locked up, even if you're a foreigner cracking jokes. You could be a Pakistani cracking jokes about an Indian and get arrested for it. That's how stupid it's become. So whatever you do, if you have vacation dollars that you want to spend, don't spend them in Canada. It is a very dangerous place. So we got to talk about Canada. I'll just segue now into the fact that Canada has become a complete and total police state. It is absolutely a police state. Now, before we get going here, could I get everybody over here on TikTok? Let's get the double fingers going. Let's get those likes going. I need everybody watching to share right now, please. Same thing on Rumble. Right around there, you'll see a thumbs up icon. Could we get everybody on Rumble, please, to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button? Please, everybody, share the URL. Share all of it. If you're over here on Kick, same thing, everyone. Please go ahead and share some more. The likes and the shares really do help bring more people in. It helps get people aware of what's going on, because seemingly I'm like the last honest guy in Canada, it would appear. And I'm not even in Canada anymore. So when I say that Canada is a police state, you have to think about the sheer number, the sheer volume of police officers that Canada has in relation to its population. It's extremely high. Canada has up right now, actually, it's something like a third of the jobs in Canada right now are government jobs, not private industry jobs, not entrepreneurial positions, not investment groups bringing in staff members to work in major corporations. It's just government employees. So what does that mean? It means that the government wants to control the people of Canada a lot more than they have been doing in the past. What's one way to do it? Is hire radical leftist Antifa type losers and make them into cops, which they've done. So if you are ever wondering why the police in Canada are so crazy, it's because 90% of them are diversity hires and left-wing Antifa types. So left-wingers who believe that there are 72 genders and believe that white man bad and believe in reparations for black people that they've never met and so on, it's people like that who are cops now. And people like that will arrest you because their feelings get hurt. A left winger, anybody who's on the left wing, serves no purpose. Every single thing that they do is reactive. Nothing is proactive. Everything is an emotional reaction to stimulus that doesn't even pertain to them. So what I had when I was still living in the Greater Toronto area, the Peel Regional Police Force, just the biggest bunch of friggin' losers you've ever met in your life. I was stalked. there was a female cop. She was 5'2", always acted tough. You know, what's a 5'2" woman going to do? Without the gun, actually, I wasn't even worried about her gun. What I'm worried about is the radio, where she can say, I'm trying to intimidate KevinJJohnston, and he's not intimidated, so please send male cops over. The radio is dangerous. We need to block. You know what? Why don't we all start jamming police radio? We got to all start just jamming all their friggin' radios to keep them from ganging up on all of us. But I had this female cop. Her name was Catherine Dodds. She's at 52 Division in the city of Mississauga. You can look her up. She's a short, fat loser. And she was stalking me and my family for over a year. Over a year, this cop was stalking me in uniform, never mind, and in her detective outfit, which typically were jeans that I suppose if you were to break the seam, thank you for the heart. If you broke the seam on these jeans and stretched them out, it would be curtains for, you know, the front window of your living room. And I'm talking one of those 18-foot wide windows. This repugnant individual is highly representative of all police in Canada. Now, I'll never forget this one. I was told to go into the police station to go and make a report. And they said, put a mask on. I said, no, I don't want to put a mask on. No, put a mask on. I don't want to put a mask on. So I said, look, I can't put a mask on because I'm going to start to shake and convulse. Now, of course, I'm acting. All right. I'm going like during that COVID, that thing that they said was happening. So I'm just like with this mask. And the cop, it was hilarious. It was 3 obese lesbians with boys' haircuts, nowhere near as nice as this one, I might add. But they're saying, it sounds like you have some kind of mental issue. Why aren't you on drugs? You should take antidepressants and antipsychotics. I do. Like, why are you telling me that you take pills? And you're not a doctor. Why are you prescribing me medication? It was the weirdest thing. So eventually she got fed up with me doing this with the mask. And they threw me out of the station. But not before they were screaming and yelling at me at the top of their lungs, because fat lesbian cops actually think they're scary. But it's not just Toronto that does this. It's Montreal, it's Gatineau, it's Ottawa, Calgary. It's all of the above. All the cities are hiring losers like this as cops. So Canada's a dangerous place because we've given body armor, guns, and radios to these crazy individuals. They are crazy. Left-wing people are not all there. You know, the example would be the left-wing Antifa girl who got so upset with her father cheering for the Trump victory in this election that she bit him and then killed him and cut pieces of him off and stood proudly when the cops showed up. I guess she thought, she was going to be heralded as a hero. That's what left-wing cops think like in Canada. So if you burn a pride flag in Canada, for example, you'll probably go to prison for 2 years. They'll call it hate speech, even though the pride flag is a symbol of hate and disdain and contempt for all things that are decent. It is a divisive flag. It is meant to cause division and derision in society. It is a hate symbol unto itself. And yet, if you destroy that hate symbol, you're going to be accused of being a hater. Isn't that bizarre? So the entire LGBTQ alphabet mafia, as they call them, have way too much influence in law enforcement in Canada. Now, it gets worse. It gets worse. When I'm saying that about 90% of cops in major cities in Canada are left-wing tards, I'm not kidding. But it gets worse, because when those left-wing tard cops arrest you for offending somebody, you still have to go in front of the left-wing crazy pedophile judges and crown attorneys in Canada. And there's a lot of pedophile judges who can't wait to protect other pedophiles in Canada. The judges in Canada, there might be 3 or 4 decent ones left, but the rest of them, they're all left-wing, and they're all running forward on this mandate to destroy everything in Canada. Kind of like what the Democrats are doing to the United States. The cops, the judges, the politicians, and the crown attorneys in Canada are going out of their way to destroy the semblances of normalcy that we had. There is no longer a rule of law in Canada. So an example that I'll give you now is Pat King. Pat King was one of the organizers of the big Ottawa truckers protest, which thank God it happened. He wasn't the protester and he wasn't the profiteer of it. He was just one of the guys that helped to get it rocking. So they arrested him for nothing and stuck him in solitary confinement for 4 months. And in some cases, they were putting him in the dirtiest cell going. When Pat King was in prison, he had to deal with mushrooms. Mushrooms were growing in his cell. So there was mold and black mushrooms creeping up the wall. That's the conditions in Canada. Also, Pat has an artificial leg, and they took it from him. So they were making him hop around on one leg for a while. It's absolutely crazy, the type of torture that you have to go through in a Canadian prison. And you're there because left-wing cops and left-wing judges don't like conservatives and true patriots, so they just lock them up in prison. So if you are a Christian and a conservative and you're planning on living in Canada or visiting Canada or doing business in Canada, take it from this guy here, the last honest Canadian, don't go. I had to escape Canada myself because of all of it. So let me tell you why I had to escape Canada. Not only was I stalked by a couple of cops, but I've had guns drawn on me because I podcast, because I talk, not because I've committed crimes, but because I talk. And during the whole pandemic nonsense, they locked me up because I was telling the truth about it. And I have to censor this off of YouTube, but let's just tell the truth. There was no pandemic. There was absolutely no disease worth talking about. And they didn't like the fact that I proved to the public that there was no disease, there was no pandemic, there was no COVID, nothing. They did not like that fact. So one of the things I did, you guys remember this? I was running for mayor at the time, and my podcast actually had like 300,000 viewers a night. So I was popular. What does that mean? There was a lot of ladies hanging around all the time. So we did the whole let's make out with 10 women thing. So made out with 10 chicks live on camera. Didn't get sick. The next day, I said, let's go to the fruit market. I grabbed strawberries, deliberately dropped every single one of them into oil on the ground in the parking lot, ate every single one of them, didn't get sick. All right. We hung around. We had poker nights. We did live poker nights on my Instagram channel. Didn't get sick. Wrote a book called Masks Are Bullshit. Released it. Debunked everything. Government didn't like that. What do? They locked me up for almost 7 months of my life in solitary confinement. I'm proud of what I did. I have no regrets. I'm very proud of what I did. But while I was running for mayor of Calgary, not only were they locking me up every couple of weeks because I was telling the truth about COVID and telling the truth about the economy of Canada, but then a baby-killing terrorist decides he wants to make a production of trying to get me not to run or not to be able to win the mayor race in the city of Calgary. So this individual's name, and I don't give a rat's ass if he's upset with me or not, his name is Mohammed Faki. This is a guy, we think he's Egyptian. He claims to be Lebanese. He claims to have come to Canada with $10 in his pocket. He claims that his first job was sweeping floors at a Tim Hortons donut shop. And then he claims that he had no help when he opened up a restaurant, which served garbage food, I might add, and was just sitting in an industrial zone. This supposed fancy restaurant is sitting in between two auto body shops. No one knew where it was. And then somehow this terrorist guy goes from one restaurant to 40 in less than 8 years in a downturn economy selling garbage falafel. Well, I had to investigate this guy. So I went into his restaurants on a Friday night thinking that was going to be the busy night. There was me, my cameraman, and one other person in there. And the cashier was just like typing numbers in on the iPad and then putting cash into the register. So the restaurant had nobody in it, but they were running sales all night. Like they would do $10,000, $20,000 a day in food sales with nobody in the restaurant. Do you know what that means? Money laundering. Do you know where the money was going? Bangladesh and Western Myanmar. Do you know what it was going into? The Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army of Myanmar and Bangladesh, who slaughtered 50,000 Buddhists, Hindus, and Christians in Myanmar. So the guy was money laundering for terror groups. I exposed all of this. What do I get for it? An 18-month jail sentence. Yeah, for telling the truth about a baby-killing terrorist. So if you look it up, it's called Paramount Fine Foods. Yeah, I wrote a full 97-page deposition, which I then swore in. I swore it in the courts. And I had to make that stupid gesture in court, and I swore everything in. And even though it was all sworn in, the judge didn't even read it. It wasn't read by anybody. And then there was a ban put on it saying that this court document, which is public information, could not go out to the public. That's Canada, everybody. And do you know why all this happened? Because the baby-killing terrorist Mohammed Faqih was funneling money through his restaurants coming in from Saudi Arabia and Pakistan's spy agency ISI, and he was filtering it not only into Bangladesh and to Myanmar, but giving it to Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, which is why Justin Trudeau did a free commercial for Paramount Fine Foods. Yeah, that's right. Did a free commercial for him. I've never seen a world leader do that ever. But that's what happened. Now, Mohammed Faqih has destroyed himself by coming out and screaming at the top of the lungs that he hates Jews and that he absolutely loves Hamas. I mean, good. Now he's done himself in. This like whatever. Thank God. All right. But this is what you have to put up with in Canada. This is why Canada sucks. And what's worse is this guy is from a foreign country. He's part of a disgusting ideology. He does disgusting things. And who did white people choose to side with in the battle between me and the baby-killing terrorist? White Canadian-born people said, oh, I'm wrong. Kevin's wrong. He's Muslim. Like, leave him alone. Like, I know that he's killing people, but don't criticize him because his feelings will get hurt. Yeah, there we go. So that's also why Canada sucks. Is white Canadian-born people are the dumbest fucking morons in the world. They really are stupid. They cannot wait to criticize each other and get in each other's way. How many of you in Canada right now like the fact that people from India and Bangladesh are walking onto all of your beaches and walking into your public parks, pulling down their pants and defecating all over the place? How many of you are happy about that? No, none. Now, there's a woman, she was 30 years old. These same individuals who aren't white, so it's okay for them to do it, I guess, were taking dumps on the beach right in front of her property. So she gets on Twitter and talks about it. And what happens? The cops come to her house. We got complaints that someone here was saying that brown people were defecating on the beach. They were caught on camera doing it. They just pull their pants down, squat, dump, and walk away. They don't even wipe. But what they do is they bury their fecal matter in the sand. And because Indians are really big and Bangladeshis, they're really big into tomatoes. Tomato seeds pass through your digestive tract completely unharmed by your stomach acid. So they are technically being fertilized by the human crap that's in the sand. And now beaches all over the UK and now some spots in Canada have wild tomato plants growing on them from all the Indian fecal matter on the beaches. But the law says in Canada, you can't talk about this. You can't criticize this. Well, here I am, a Canadian podcaster and tax expert, telling you these stories directly from Panama. That's right. I had to go 6 countries away to be able to tell the truth to Canadians about their own country. That kind of sucks, don't you think? Let's think about that. So now that this Israeli and Hamas conflict's been going on, what happens is that the media in Canada, they side with Hamas. Isn't it great? Look at all these Palestinian flags and all these Hamas individuals. Yeah, look at all these. It's wonderful that they're attacking Jews with knives in Canada. Isn't that great? That's the Canadian media. If you criticize Hamas in Canada, what happens? You get arrested. That's right. But Hamas goes out in Montreal this weekend and they shatter windows and light some of the city on fire. Yeah, Hamas does this. The media films it, and what do they say? Well, it's because of Israel this is happening. And white Canadians say, oh, yeah, it must be because the news says Israel's responsible for Hamas destroying a Canadian city. Now, what does Montreal or Toronto or Ottawa or New York or Miami, what do any of these cities have to do with Israel or Palestine or the Middle East in general, or South Africa or Australia? We have nothing to do with these countries. These countries have got their own problems. Let them deal with it. And now that I've seen the behavior of all these Hamas supporters all over the world, I couldn't care less about them at all. Everyone says, yeah, but there's a genocide taking place. And look how they behave. What good has come from any Hamas protest? Now, I can't even ask that question in Canada at all, which is why Canada sucks. Yeah, think about that. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we collectively as a species now have to begin to make some really serious decisions. And these decisions are to recognize what has value and what has no value and push everything with no value aside. And you can spare me all the arguments of, but you have to have compassion and help everybody. No, you don't. I don't have to have compassion for anyone. And I don't have to have any feelings of regret or sympathy or otherwise for anyone who behaves themselves like a prize fool in other people's countries. You want an example of punishments that should be doled out? Everyone's familiar, I guess, with this idiot Johnny Somali, that black dude that went out to Japan and was disrespecting Japanese people, got arrested and released and banned from the country for 6 years. Well, then he goes to South Korea and starts disrespecting the country there. But the South Koreans began hunting him down and beating him up. And now he's facing 30 years in prison. That's how you deal with it. When somebody comes into your country and disrespects it and you and the ideology of the country and the anthem and the flag and everything else that the country holds dear, the correct response is, yeah, knock his teeth out of his mouth and then lock him up. But nope, in Canada, all this dirt, all this filth, all this third world trash comes in the country and white people get arrested for criticizing it. It's sick. Let me tell you what else sucks about the way this all works in Canada. Okay, everybody? The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, those losers, watch this show. Every single episode. I have documents this thick from CSIS and from the RCMP about me, little old me, gray-haired, middle-aged guy talking on a show. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police wastes tax dollars watching every single episode of what I say, and they transcribe everything because they're always looking to add some charge to me. Sedition, traitor callings, treason, calls to action, what else? Counsel to a crime, and so on. They're looking for any which way they can to screw me over and anybody else who speaks conservatively. Yeah, crazy. When I first got my disclosure package from the RCMP, it was in 2021. Now, in 2021, I already had over 5,000 videos online. There's a lot of videos, man. And they watched them all. And they transcribed them all. And then they went to CSIS, the Canadian Spy Agency, and they had them transcribe everything. Did you know CSIS is kind of like the actually, they're not even like the FBI because they're not even police. They just spy and make recommendations that everybody ignores. But they were transcribing everything I was saying, and they were running voice print analysis on what I was saying to see if I was speaking in code to try to get people to commit violent acts. They actually were looking through every show I've ever produced to see if I was speaking in code. How many tax dollars do you think went into that? Then in my hometown, the city of Mississauga, the former mayor, Bonnie Crombie, who I might add is a very big proponent of Sharia law, spent $2.75 million just to piss me off. She had bylaw officers follow me around. She had cops follow me around. She put me into the court system over and over again and so on. Can you imagine? Almost $3 million spent just to get on my nerves because she didn't like me because I beat her in debates in 2014. That's how your money is being spent. And when Canadians hear this, nah, it's not true, man. She fucking bragged about it. She bragged about it when she was talking to the people that were paying her for her campaign. I spent $2.7 million on KevinJJohnston. He's an insidious man, and I don't like him. Politicians and police in Canada are telling the Canadian public how much tax money they're spending to give me a difficult time. When I was running for mayor of Calgary, Calgary police followed me for 2 days in a helicopter to take pictures of me to make sure that I was wearing a mask, which I wasn't, and to make sure that I wasn't shaking hands with people running for mayor, which I was, and to make sure that I wasn't hugging women and holding babies and posing with the guys, and which I was. They took pictures of me from an altitude of 5,000 feet. You should see the freaking records, man. It's crazy. They actually had listed the photographer who was taking the pictures. They had this book, like an inch thick, of photographs of me from the air. I'm thinking, that's pretty cool when you think about it. Obviously, they're terrified of what I've got to say, to follow me with a helicopter for 2 days. And they used that helicopter footage to get me to be arrested and just detained in a jail cell for 7 weeks to interfere with my political campaign. Helicopter. Do you know what that cost the city of Calgary? Yeah, it was over $270,000. Yeah, to follow me with a helicopter. That got out to the public. And you know what the public said? Well, I guess it's not that big a deal. I mean, he's not wearing a mask and he should wear a mask. So, to Canadians out there, when money is being spent on foolish things like that, you know who's at fault? It's you. Because you're not paying attention to the political arena. You're voting in people because they work for a political party that you recognize. And you always say, well, that's a new party. We're not going to vote for them because what do they know? And that's why you keep losing. That's why your country sucks. It absolutely sucks. All right, just going to look at a couple of questions and see what we got here. Oh, Dodie, you make a very good comment there. That's a very good point. They love to target those who are more highly and morally educated than they are. Absolutely, they do. I've had a few judges. Oh, man, the shit that comes out of their mouths when they're talking about me in court, it's unreal. One judge spent almost 10 minutes explaining to the courts how intelligent I am and that my grasp of world events and my grasp of Canadian law could be considered frightening. Well, of course it would to him. He makes $400,000 a year wearing a black dress and screaming at people. Of course I'm a threat to a guy who does that for a living when I'm explaining to people that the courts no longer have any interest in the country at all. It's just their own pocketbook. And when I teach people how to beat the government in court, which I have been doing for quite some time. I've beat the Canada Revenue Agency in court 18 times this year, and I'm not even a lawyer. So, yeah, they are worried about intelligent people, Dodie. 100% they are. Okay. Yeah, so Dodie says they do that. It's criminal harassment, even stalking that the taxpayers are paying for. Of course it is. Actually, Dodie, I didn't even have to do an FOI request. That was in my disclosure. I actually have it with me here in Panama. I just haven't gone to go see a copy center yet and get them to scan the sheets and then release that to the public because disclosure is my property. So, yeah, I have to get that out to the public. Okay, so Demand says, are you granted permission now to represent people against the CRA or are you still blocked? All right. So the Canada Revenue Agency does not like the fact that I know more about tax law than all of them combined. There's not one person out of the 60,000 that work for the Canada Revenue Agency that knows as much about tax law as me, because I pride myself on learning it implicitly. And then when I can't interpret something properly, I go directly to really high-end lawyers and I get them to interpret it. So with the CRA, they said that I can't represent clients anymore because I was really rude to somebody once. No, yeah, I was. I was rude to the most crass and vulgar piece of scum I'd ever spoken to on a phone, who was screaming at the top of her lungs at an 80-year-old woman trying to get her to pay taxes. Yeah, so I raised my voice back and I hit her with a whole bunch of really awesome, just awesome racist slurs. It was great. Got her fired up beyond belief. You can't say that. You're white. That's why I say it. Oh, yeah. It drove her nuts. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, they do fear everything. And hey, we have our first troll tonight, everybody. When are you going to pay that $650,000 you owe? I'm sorry, Steve. What $650,000 are you referring to? You're suggesting I owe somebody money because you say so? Go on, Steve. Put your argument in there. Let's see what Mr. Troll has to say there. All right. Okay. Are you so important that police care? Who are you, a movie? Why were you in jail? Why leave Canada? Oh, okay. Those are actually good questions. All right. Number one, why am I so important? Because my first YouTube channel back in 2016 exploded to 2.5 million subscribers or followers, whatever, in 5 months. All of a sudden, I was influencing Canadians more so than the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation could. In 2021, during the fake pandemic nonsense, I was saving lives left, right, and center by telling you, don't get needles, don't put on masks. There's no reason to. There's no pandemic. I proved it time and time again. And while I was doing that, my podcast had over 300,000 viewers a night, 5 nights a week, which meant we had more of an audience than the top 3 TV networks in the country combined nightly. Of course, I'm a threat. Why would they not lock me up in a communist country? You can't have some middle-aged guy outdoing the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation from an 8-foot by 10-foot bedroom, which is what we were doing. We turned a bedroom in a very small bedroom in a very small house into a studio with a big piece of green screen, and the soundproofing was little more than $75 worth of soundproof insulation held on the wall by nails and cardboard. Yeah, that whole studio cost me something like $250 to put together, and the desks that we had were literally just plywood that we found and drilled everything together. So with that little, and one laptop and one phone and one camera and one microphone here, we outdid the top 3 networks in Canada. Yeah, they went into full panic mode. That's just how it is. And Steve 1045 UBC, could everyone just report him, please? He's a troll. Hot Pizza says, I would love to join you. Hot Pizza kind of looks kind of cute, doesn't she? She looks kind of hot. Now, I like hot women. Come on down. I'm in Panama. Why am I in Panama? Why did I choose Panama? I think that question's been asked a couple times tonight. Well, from childhood, I've always wanted to see Panama because the Panama Canal was something I learned about in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And I was fascinated by it ever since. I always meant to go to Panama, see the canal, and I just never did it. So I knew one day I was going to end up in Panama. I figured for a vacation. But when I got here, I fell in love with the country immediately. Immediately, I fell in love with this place. So I stayed. And I bought a property. And I'm staying in that property. And I'm in a great neighborhood around great people all the time. And I work with amazing people down here in Panama. So why would I go back to Canada? I could go back to Canada and get shot by the cops. There is an Islamic fatwa on my head in Canada. So if I enter the province of Ontario, which is my home province, the Muslims will kill me. That's clearly stated. And I was ordered by a judge in the province of Ontario to return to Ontario so that he could scold me in a courtroom, which means I have technically been sentenced to death in Toronto. Think about that. That's how crazy Canada has become. Yeah, so Doty says it's insane what they spend. Yeah, so they will spend $1 billion in Canada to stop Canadians from speaking the truth about the country, but they won't spend more than $100 to protect Canadians from all the third world trash in the country. I get totally what you're saying. All right. Sweet Cherry Pie says, high five for telling the truth to the masses. Those who know you, thank you. Well, that's a very kind statement, and I do appreciate that. Thank you. By the way, everybody, we're at 7,300 likes. Can we get everyone going double finger there? Let's get the likes going over here on TikTok, please. Over here on Kick. If you're on Rumble right here, right about there is where you'll see a thumbs up button. It helps the algorithm. It helps us get found. It really does work. Please, please, please like and share, because I want to continue doing this. I thoroughly enjoy speaking to all of you on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. All righty. So let's jump over to a couple more statements and questions here. All right. Kev, is it safe to say Panama's not going to be your permanent home? I don't know, man. It's tough to say. If you were to come down to Panama for yourself and have a look around at how modern Panama City is and how good the infrastructure is now, and the amazing banking sector that they have here, and the amazing subway trains. Like, you pay 35 cents to ride the subway here. I pay $4 when I go to a restaurant. You know, I had a hoagie today. I had it's a 25 centimeter hoagie for $3, and that came with a coffee. So, you know, my gym membership is like $27 a month, and that gym membership allows me to go to any gym in Latin America. That's part of the same franchise. When you see that you can live a really good life in a city like Panama City, why would I leave? I mean, I'm going to be traveling the world. I have to go see Argentina, Colombia, and Chile. I've wanted to see those places for quite some time. But at the same time, I have a great deal of tax clients right now. So I need to focus on those clients. I can't be gallivanting. Now that I've bought a place and turned it into a really nice office and whatnot, I gotta deal with my client base. Beverly Thompson's asking, don't we have a free voice in Canada? No, not anymore. It's been taken from us. It's been taken from everybody in Canada. And unfortunately, there's a lot of left-wing nuts out there who think that's a really good idea. It's a good idea to silence speech. I want everybody watching this show, when you're done listening to me tonight, I want you all to go to the Canada.ca official government website, and I want you to look up the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now, in the United States, where it says, we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, and it states that they have freedom and that the government will not get in their way. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, clause number 1 says, hey, we've got like 30 clauses here, and we're not going to interfere with your capacity to live life or write laws to bother you. But if we feel like interfering with your life, we're going to write laws to bother you. So that would negate everything else that comes afterwards. And that is how Canada has always functioned, is there's always some law or some technicality that allows the government to stop you from living life, that stops you from advancing your career, advancing who you are. That's the difference between Canada and the United States. So Norma, if you need tax work done, I'm the best there is. Please, and the CRA is afraid of me, not vice versa. All accountants in Canada are afraid of the CRA. So get a hold of me and we'll take care of it. Dodie says, I heard Costa Rica is a good place to live. I tried it for 5 months, Dodie. It's more expensive than Toronto and Calgary. It's ridiculous. It's a third world country with first world pricing, and there's no value for the money. It started pissing me off. Like, I spent the last 6 to 8 weeks in Costa Rica being perpetually agitated because the price of everything was just not worth it. $20 to $25 for a hamburger and fries. Whereas my grocery bill in Panama for the whole week is $30. So one meal, almost 30 with tip. 1 week in Panama, 30. How do I survive in Panama? Incredibly well. I do business with not one, but 3 banks now. I do business with the number 3 lawyer in the country. I do business with realtors down here. I do business with Americans, Australians, Brits, and Canadians getting tax work done. And I buy and sell corporations that are in dire fiscal straits. So and Panama allows me to do all of this. And because I'm a gringo down here, which means a foreigner, don't pay a penny of tax in Panama. I can report $100 billion if I wanted to and not pay a penny of tax at all. Very easy to survive in Panama. Very easy. Just looking at some of your questions here. Are you on the Blue Skies list? So many are going over there, leaving Meta next. Oh, why don't we cover that subject right now? Meta and Facebook and Instagram are shutting people down left, right, and center. They're absolute trash. I'm on like a 90-day suspension now on my two main accounts, and one of my secondary accounts got shut down. Do you know why? Because of Canadian women. That's right, because of Canadian women. So let's cover that for a second here. I'm just going to look at your questions before we get into this. Yeah, Uncle Dave, no problem. You get a hold of me. I'll flex my muscles with the CRA, and I'll get rid of them using the appropriate legalese. Do you pay tax to Canada being another country? You should never pay tax to the Canadian government if you're in another country or making money in another country. You don't have to at all. And any accountant who says you do is a liar and works for the CRA. Yeah, get a hold of me. Justin Trudeau took $17,000 from my overdraft, which I didn't have, and screwed your bank account. Joseph, you know how I get that fixed for you? I go back 10 years and redo your taxes, and I get your taxes to zero. Legally. Get a hold of me. That is what I do. I've helped over 400 people this year get a ton of money back by doing taxes for them for minimum 5 years, but usually up to as high as 10 years. So now, for the ladies in the room, you're going to be a bit upset by what I'm about to say here, all right? And I'm hoping that you won't. I'm hoping that you understand that what I'm talking about here is I really do hope that our society gets better. I hope that in the future, women go back to being ladies. And these beta cuck loser males out there who play video games for 30 hours every 2 days get jobs, get careers, get smart, get tough. They go to the gym and become masculine again. I'm really disappointed in North American society because the males are weak and the women have turned into, I can't even say what they've turned into. It's difficult to come across a lady. And something that I really enjoy being around is a lady. And Blunt Truth says you're strong. Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, I've seen you here before. All right. So what had happened here, everybody, is I've been giving speeches to a lot of young males about building a family legacy. The most incredible thing that I ever did is become a father. It was remarkable. I was in love with my kids like the second I saw them. And they're in their 20s now, so I'm transitioning slowly from father to friend in that particular arena. I mean, I guide them all the time, but it was the most incredible thing going. And it really does. Having children really does add a lot of purpose to a man's life, a ton of purpose to a man's life, especially when you have a lot to teach your kids, and you're willing to tell your buddies, hey, you know what, guys, Pangulo, I'm going to hang with my kids today. I'm going to play hide and seek with my kids today. My daughter's going to paint my face with makeup tonight. My son is going to show me what he learned in school today. I'm going to play hide and seek with my children. Much better than hanging out in a bar. All right. So what I can say here is that young men don't have that kind of guidance anymore at all. So guys, this is what I want to say to the guys. And this bothers Canadian women, and I don't even know why. Young males out there, don't chase tail. All right? Just stop. Work on you. Go to the gym. Read books, not modern crap, not left-wing dogma. Read books that were written from like 1990 backwards. Fill your head with knowledge. Read the dictionary because you need to have a large vocabulary. And Sweet Cherry Pie makes a good point. Read the other dictionary, the one that exists simultaneously with the English language dictionary, which is called Black's Law Dictionary, where you can see that legal terms have very different meanings than the dictionary terms. Fill your head with this stuff. Don't chase tail. You don't have to. If you do these things I'm saying to you, go to the gym, fill your head with knowledge, have a big vocabulary, get yourself a decent looking car, have your own apartment, have a good job, have a hobby that makes sense. That's not video games or sitting around doing nothing. The tail will chase you because you will now be considered a high value male. What I said this to a group of about 200 guys under the age of 25. And one guy had his girlfriend in there and she went fucking bananas and got on Twitter and had every chick that she knew get onto my Facebook page and start complaining about the things that I was saying on Facebook. Now, why would that upset a Canadian woman? Well, perhaps she feared the fact that I was teaching her man, her boyfriend, to be better. I was probably not necessarily convincing him directly, but indirectly, that he didn't actually need her, that he needed to work on himself and then see what comes chasing him and then be able to pick the cream of the crop. And that's exactly how I did it. Once that was explained to me at age 23, that's exactly what I did. I started filling my head with every piece of knowledge I possibly could, went to the gym, got into boxing, and I had a damn fine car back then too. For a short while, I had a 1969 Chevy Chevelle Malibu. It was awesome. And trust me, when women say, oh, I don't really care about cars. Yeah, bullshit. Get into a Chevelle and watch me spin the tires for 200 yards and see how much you don't like cars at that particular point. All right. So, and blunt truth comes out and says it. She didn't have any skills other than tail. Now we know what that means. I'm not going to get rude here, but there we go. That's totally it. So what, I've been single now for almost 4 years. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got this boatload of knowledge floating around my head. And now that I'm here in Panama and I'm doing extremely well financially because this country allows me to do that. It does not get in my way. The left-wing cops are not knocking on my door at 2 a.m. The left-wing freaks are not running around town shoving pride flags in my face. I'm not distracted by the stupidity of Hamas everywhere in Canada. So I'm here making really, really good money. So I thought, maybe I should have a much bigger family legacy. I've been lecturing young males about starting a family legacy up. Why should I not do the same thing? I thought, you know what? It is time for me to have more kids. Realistically, I think a good 6 to 10 would be all right. But I thought, the hell with it. If it's going to be 6, it may as well be 100. So I put this ad out here. All right. For those, you can't see it, unfortunately, on TikTok. So I'm going to read it. It's me smiling like this. There's a teddy bear on the other side. It's a white background, and it says, hot, healthy, and unvaxxed sperm here. KevinJJohnston wants 100 women to make white babies. Then I go on to say why. White people are less than 9% of the world's population. We built the world and must repopulate now. I'm rich. You will never work. Just nurture my kids and live in luxury. Now, in the bottom left corner, it says white and good-looking women only, no fat chicks. Okay? You got to throw some humor into stuff like this. Just like women will say, no short men. If you don't have a six-pack and a six-figure salary, don't call me. Same thing, right? We're allowed to crack jokes, are we not? So then I took it a little bit further, and I made it into an advertisement. And here's the exact verbatim reading of my ad, which appeared on, like 60 different Gab groups, like 40 different Facebook groups, my Facebook pages. It appeared all over X, appeared everywhere. And I've been getting a hell of a response to it. Here, this is it. Ladies, don't get a job. Don't waste your time on a career. Be a mom. It's the most rewarding thing a woman can do. Ignore the feminists. They are retards and hate mongers and want you to be as ugly and lonely as they are. Be beautiful. Be the mother of my children. I am the greatest man to come out of Canada, and our offspring will be gorgeous. And of course, I had to spell it C-U-M because, I'm a man. All right. Furthermore, you will never work. Just raise and nurture our beautiful white babies. You'll have $3,000 US dollars per month to spend on whatever you want. Plus, you get to live in my place with full access to everything in the house. The house is great. I will have a trust fund open for you that will earn 7% annually. So when our contract is over and you wish to leave, you take the money and run. It's yours. Come on. Is that a great deal or what? The contract, and I worked it out, the contract is worth $1.1 million to you. Then I said, here are the rules and the expectations. And this is where Canadian women lost their minds. My phone rang off the hook. My email box was full. I got death threats over this. The rules. You are white. Your entire lineage is white. I mean, I want my kids to look like me. That's my right, by the way, everybody. You are highly attractive. Your IQ is over 105. You speak English at a minimum 80% fluency. You have measurements of 36, 24, 36 or similar and be symmetrical. You will work out and stay fit for the term of the contract. You'll do 500 squats per day because, I like big asses. You cook, you clean, you change diapers, you breastfeed our kids until age 1.5. You do not dye your hair any colors that are not in human DNA. You are an oral sex expert. You are an anal sex enthusiast. You love vaginal sex. You will empty my balls daily. Refusal to do so will result in a monetary penalty of $5,000 per infraction. You will know your place as a woman and never attempt to dominate the household. You will not argue with me. I am the man, and what I say goes. All of our children will be DNA tested to ensure that you are not in violation of the contract. If the DNA of the white baby does not match yours and mine, you and the kid are out the door and you can buy your own plane ticket home or to hell. I don't care. That is the wording of the ad. Now, I am serious that I would like to have a family legacy, and I am serious about having more children so I can teach more little Kevins how the world works and how to get out there and make money in any country but Canada. All right. And the women went ballistic. They went bananas. By the time this ad was an hour old on my Facebook page, it had 250 really negative, miserable comments from Canadian women telling me that, I'm a misogynist, I'm a sadist, I've never been on a date. Obviously, I'm a virgin, of course. All of these insults about an ad that has nothing to do with them. Now, let's imagine the ad was not serious. Then it would be called, it's called parody. It's a joke at that point. It could be taken as a joke if you have a sense of humor, or if it's a serious ad and you determine it's a serious ad. Why does it make you angry? I've seen thousands of ads all over North America, young women under 25 saying, I want a man who's 6 feet tall, 6-inch penis, 6-pack, 6-figure salary to take care of me. I don't want to work. Fine. I don't get angry about stuff like that. If that's what she wants, and that's the advertisement that she's willing to put out, and she's willing to stick to her guns by reminding everyone that she's serious, good for her. If she's worth it, then I hope she finds the guy she's looking for. I'm at a loss as to comprehend why I would receive over 200 emails. And why by the time Facebook took the ad down, which they did, of course, that it was over 1,000 negative comments and only about 10 people that were saying, Kevin, good for you. It's funny. Keep it up, and so on. And right, sweet cherry pie makes a good point. It's okay for women, but not okay for men. Well, I disagree that it's not okay for men. Now, let's go one step further here. I'm 5'6". I have dated women that are 6 feet tall. It's awkward. It's not that I'm embarrassed by it. It's just awkward to be physical on the dance floor, with a chick who's up here. I like my women around 5'5", down as low as even 4'11" would be fine. Because it's not that I want to feel powerful and tall. It just makes more sense. It's just easier to engage in physicality with a woman who's shorter than I am. That's pretty much it. And one of the issues that most women who are that size have with me is my sheer size. I'm 2 foot 2 inches wide from here to here. My chest is like almost 46 inches right now. I'm a tank is what I am. So they have a tough time putting their arms around me. Is that a problem? Well, I don't know. But if they were going to write an ad saying, I want to be with a guy who's 5'6", but I don't want a 46-inch chest because I want to wrap my arms around him, they have the right. They have the right to ask for these things. So when I ask these Canadian women that were so enraged with me, why are you angry about this? There was never an answer aside from, you're a misogynist. Okay, imagine I was. Why does that matter? Then they would say stupid stuff like, all you want to do is have sex with women. Okay, I do want to have sex with good-looking women. I'm a heterosexual, healthy man who can bench press more than his own body weight and can leg press almost 1,000 pounds now. Yeah, I'm interested in that. Why does that matter? If that was my only goal, let's just say for argument's sake it was, why does that matter to Canadian women so much? I'm not even in Canada, and it bothers them that much. So you always have to ask yourself why. Then the weird justifications come in where Canadian women have to scream at me on social media and on the phone because somehow my phone number got out. And all of the insults that would come in telling me that I have no right to put an ad like that out. And all I'm going to attract is whores, and no intelligent woman's going to go for that. And no decent woman's going to go for that. And holy crap, where is this coming from? Why is there so much hate with Canadian women about guys who are honest? I don't get it. And then why go out of your way to call women who want a family with an alpha male? Why are you calling them whores? And then they proceed to go ahead and tell me that they're happy. They've been married for years. They've got a great husband. Good for you. What the hell does that have to do with you screaming at me? So because all these Canadian ladies didn't like my ad or didn't like the way I worded it and don't like the idea that I would like to have more children with multiple women, because I really do want to have more kids. And I'm okay with, dating 5, 6, 7, writing contracts with 10 women to have kids. I'm okay with it. It made them so angry that they had to make sure that got taken down off Facebook, and they actually shut down one of my Facebook pages. And because my new Instagram channel was attached to that got shut down as well. But do you think that's going to stop me? I'm still on TikTok. I'm still on Kick. I'm still on Rumble. And I just purchased 3 Instagram channels. One of them has over 75,000 followers. I'm going to be low key on them for now, but I'm just going to keep buying people's social media. So if you've got a Twitter account with more than 5,000 followers, and they're, of course, organic, let me know. I'll buy it from you. I'll pay you for it. Cash. I'm wealthy now in Panama. I'll pay you for it. I'm okay paying for things. If you've got Facebook pages that you'd like me to broadcast on, get a hold of me. I'll even pay you to get space on your Facebook page. Yeah, if you want to be the mother of my kids, let me know. You're going to live in the lap of luxury. You're going to be with a guy who's smiling and laughing all the time, and who can lift 45 pounds with his tongue. So take that any way you want. Okay. Oh yeah, sweet cherry pie. I knew what you were doing. I know you're on my side. I get that. Oh, Blunt Truth. Check this out. Blunt Truth tells me she's 5'2", which is great. That's a really good height, because women like that who are like 110 pounds, I can pick them up and throw them. That's just so much fun. Of course, gently, onto a soft bed, but she says, I woke up their insecurities. Man, Canadian women are highly insecure. I don't understand that either. Considering how many opportunities have been just handed to Canadian women, I don't understand the propensity to be insecure and then to display it publicly on social media with shouting matches with people online that they don't even know. And I assure you, these women criticizing me, I've never met. So why does some middle-aged, gray-haired guy wanting to have more kids bother you? That's the introspective question that all you gals out there should be asking yourselves. TMK says, it's hard being almost 6 feet tall. Makes it hard to connect. Oh, are you a 6 foot tall woman? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. And Sweet Cherry Pie says, women say that men have it easy. Excuse me, but no, they don't. No, we don't have it easy as men at all. The expectations that are put on men from a very young age are quite overwhelming for men. If you're a weak man, Yeah, it is. It's overwhelming. And, my son and I had this laugh because good for him. I'm so proud of him. He's been able to make his own way for 3 years. And he says to me just out of the blue, says, Dad, with all these responsibilities I have, I hate being an adult. And I said, yeah, I get that. There are days that I'd like to just wake up, pick my nose, ring someone's doorbell, run away, toilet paper a car, and just go sit in the beach. There are days I'd like to be an irresponsible ass. But at the same time, I would be then throwing away everything I've achieved. So, being an adult is not that bad. He'll figure it out. Okay. All right. So, Chad, if you want me to use your Facebook, get a hold of me. Could everybody please put my website address in the chat here and over here on Kick, please? Yeah. So, anybody wants to get a hold of me, you want to sell me your social media, go to my personal website. My name, KevinJJohnston.me, KevinJJohnston.me. Hit me in the on the contact page. I'll get a hold of you as quickly as I possibly can. Okay. So Josephus says that you want to make money. Josephus, okay. Anybody who wants to make money, I don't do multi-level marketing. I would encourage you to become sales reps for me and my tax business. I pay 50% commissions. Everyone tells me I'm crazy. And some of the commissions that I paid this year are as high as $40,000. Yeah, it's that high. So Josephus, if you want to be trained in how to make money, I want you to get a hold of me on my website, and I'll get you an invitation to come into my private meeting this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. Oh, okay. So TMK says, my husband died in Afghanistan, left to raise 4 children. That's harsh. That is really harsh. I feel sorry for you on that. That's horrible. So anybody that wants to work for me, I'm not hiring on salary. I'll teach you how to sell. Anyone can sell with the right motivation. And what I do here, this service I've got where I buy and sell Oh, I'm so sorry when I left that silly ad up too long. Sorry, I'm Rumble. You couldn't see my face. So sorry about that. All right. Yeah. So if you wanted to find out how to sell tax services where I pay you 50% commissions on the profit margin, get a hold of me. Absolutely get a hold of me. Oh, this new thing that I've invented, Blunt Truth, it's highly profitable and it's legal. There we go. How do I make money? Stefan's asking. I get Canadians back all their taxes on 10 years of taxation in personal. Sometimes I get them back even as many as 15 years worth. I buy and sell corporations that are in heavy debt, which is highly profitable. I trade corporations that are in debt, which is also somewhat profitable. And I do corporate taxes for people. In the United States, I buy and sell corporations that have massive IRS debt. That's how I make my money there. So if anybody wants to know how to do this, go to my personal website, KevinJJohnston.me, and hit the contact button in the top right corner. There you go. And someone's asking that they say they want to buy a debt-laden company. How can you? Well, I'm not going to teach you how I do it. It's proprietary information, pal, but go ahead. And Josephus, if you're in Alberta, half of my staff are in Alberta currently. So you would have all the support in the world. All right, we got to get back to the subject, why Canada sucks and why you need to leave. So let's get real serious now, all right? Let's leave dating and jokes and everything stuff. Let's leave all that aside. Canada's economy is so terrible that Canada has actually become a joke to countries like Panama, Costa Rica, Belize, Mexico, Argentina, and so on. There is no economy in Canada, period. Retail stores are all failing. Restaurants are all failing. Logistics companies and supply chain management companies, they're all failing because nobody can afford to buy anything. They said when a third of the jobs in your country are government jobs, then that means your country's gone comunisto, but it also means that there's no investment taking place. There will be no international investment in Canada anytime soon. What would you buy in Canada? The only thing I could think of that would ever make money are houses. All right, Canadian gold and silver, sure, you can buy it, but where do you store it that's going to be safe? If you're looking to book out of Canada, then you really can't take your gold and silver with you. So Canadians, they can make a lot of money investing in Bitcoin and XRP right now, sure, but will you make money doing anything in Canada other than buying and selling houses? And the answer is probably not, which is why I invented this taxation business that I'm doing now. But I know tradesmen, they're not working. Cabinet makers, not working. Bricklayers, not working. Stonemasons, not working. Bobcat operators, not working. You know, there's a lot of people just absolutely suffering out there. And it is horrible to factor in that Canada, with its potential to have a gross domestic product, a national, not international, but a gross domestic product of $2 trillion a year. It could have that under the right leadership. It has nothing. So unfortunately, Canada, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, you got to leave. If you're looking to be an investor in anything other than property, you got to leave. And I want to also point out that a big part of the reason why the Canadian economy sucks so bad, yeah, okay, Trudeau. Yes, okay, Chrystia Freeland. Yes, okay, liberalism. Yeah, okay, the New Democratic Party. Yes, okay, the Green Party. Sure, green energy policies and whatnot, but the banking system. The Canadian banking system is a laugh riot. I had a conversation with a banking manager in one of the biggest, I'm not going to say which one, but one of the biggest banks here in Panama. And he said he could not believe how bad Canadian banks are. Canadian banks will actually not let Canadians do SWIFT code transfers to other countries except for the United States. So if you have a corporation, which I do down here in Panama, and I wanted to transfer, if I had money in Canada, which I don't, but if I had money there, I can't transfer it to Panama. I have to convert it to US dollars, ship it to the States, then send it here, and just lose commissions every time I do this. Panamanian banks are in almost every case just not doing business with Canada at all. They'll do business with Canadians who bring their money to the country, but they won't do business with Canada. So the Canadian banking industry is not capital based. United States, Panama, United Kingdom, Australia, all those banking systems are capital based. So if you've got a really good business plan, a really good idea to make a ton of money, you bring it to the bank, you say, hey, I've got a little bit of collateral. I've got this great idea. Give me money. And the banks will do it. You'll get a loan. You go and you build a business, you pay off your bank loan, you go and get another bank loan, build a second business or expand it and so on. Canadian banks are greedy pieces of shit, every single one of them. You have to have property, all right? Property. If you don't have assets, you cannot get a bank loan, period. And the only thing that they want, gold, silver, stocks, bonds, property. And I mean houses. You can't even use collector cars. If you had, let's say, a 1921 Duesenberg, which are worth about $3 million, these cars, the big 12-cylinder engines. Remember those? Where the driver sits outdoors and the passengers sit indoors in the car. All right. If you had one of those, you would not be able to use it as collateral in Canada because they consider it to be they don't consider it to be real property. So to get a loan in Canada, you have to have a house. But to buy a house, you have to get a loan. The conundrum. It's just ongoing. And it never stops. So yes, you can get private loans in Canada. I have all the experts in the world that I work with to get private lending done. But when Canadians have to rely on private lending to get anything done, to get mortgages done, anything at all, the country's going to fail. And it has, miserably. So the Canadian banking system, you can expect Canadian banks to drop out of the top 50 within the next couple of years. They're a joke, an absolute joke. Some of the credit unions are good, and some of the provincially chartered banks are good. But beyond that, they're not worth it. So if you're in Canada, get your passport, get your international driver's license, buy international medical insurance, and get out. Just get out. I left Canada a year ago. It was November of last year. I went to Costa Rica for 5 months, and I've been here now for 7. It's 7 months here in Panama. It's been the best 7 months that I've had in a very long time. So I'm thinking that the best thing that Canadians can do is just accept the fact that the country is dead, accept the fact that the behavior of Canadians is still like, it's like friggin' grade school. It's like grade 9 high school. It's all rumor mill. It's all gossip. Nobody's doing anything to improve themselves. And that also has contributed to the destruction of Canada. So please do get out. And anybody who's coming to Panama, if you're going to be here in Panama City, yes, I usually dedicate 2 days a month to taking people out and showing them around. You know, we'll hit the golf course, we'll hit the canal, we can hit the Canal Museum, we can hit downtown, we'll hit the subway line. I'll show you everything I possibly can so you get a good sense of what the city is like. If you're here to open up bank accounts, I'll take you right down to the bank managers and get your account open with you. So that is all the great stuff that we can do. In Canada, with the banking system, you can't make deals with a bank. Let me give you an example. There's a bank down here which deals in gold, silver, crypto, and most world currencies. And they'll do all the conversions into US dollars here in Panama. After just 1 hour with the regional manager of the bank, we agreed that I'm going to have 1,000 Canadians in the course of 2 years open up bank accounts in that bank. And I want my commissions to be in Bitcoin. He says, no problem. No problem. We love gringos here. No problem. There we go. We signed a contract, which my lawyer had notarized. Done. And I'm doing business with a bank. I've got an account there, yes, but I'm doing business with a bank. Try doing that in a Canadian bank. Could you imagine going to Bank of Montreal? Hey, man, I can get you a whole bunch of clients and I want a small commission, even just $100 on every account. They'll tell you to leave. They don't want you to do deals with them. They don't want you to bring business. In fact, right now in the province of Ontario, Royal Bank, CIBC, and the Bank of Montreal are actually debanking millionaires, telling them to go elsewhere. We don't want your business. What the hell, man? And they don't tell you why. And the only way for you to find out why that is, you have to sue them for millions and bring them into what's called a discovery so you can question them on their reasoning. And then go to trial after you've got them to pre-admit to things. Why? Why would you want to get rid of millionaires? Do you know why? Because left-wing LGBTQ freaks are calling banks complaining about millionaires who don't like pride flags and don't want to be around left-wing pride crap. So I got a bug in here. It's the first time I've had an insect in this condominium in 7 months. Oh, and not only did I have a bug in here for the first time, a gecko this big got in. He was stuck on the ceiling. I had to shoo him out the door. So, there we are. So banking in Canada is trash. It absolutely sucks. But it would, if you've got the capital, it would actually, and if you did want to talk to me about this, I am doing this with a very wealthy man. You could become your own bank in Canada doing private mortgages. And that is something that I will cover at a later time, probably in 2 weeks on my Thursday night money show. So you could do that, but you'd be competing with the banks. And of course, the banks will send you cease and desist notices and try to get you to stop, and they'll drag you into the courts so that you don't become a bigger bank than them, because their policies absolutely suck. Now, let me blow your mind with something here. This is in reference to taxes now in Canada. Canadians, in the Western world, it's countries like Sweden and Norway and the Netherlands that have the highest taxes, but they've also got the biggest social programs going and so on, to the point where everybody around the world went to those countries. All the third world scum went to those countries to get free pickings because white people are stupid and give their money away to rejects. But Canada is definitely in the top 10 for the number of taxes their citizens have to pay. And if you're not careful, you're paying up to 73% tax on all of your money now. So you want to talk about cowardice? Did you know that the Canada Revenue Agency, when they say, well, we're going to go to your bank and get your money, they actually don't get court orders to do this, but they legally have to. What they do is they send out a requirement to pay letter to your bank or your employer. The banks have the legal right to look at a requirement to pay letter that says you must give us the money and not the taxpayer. Like, how fucking dare you try to steal someone's money? When you do that as a member of the CRA, you're a criminal. You deserve to be hanged. It's a crime against humanity as far as I'm concerned. So the banks could say, no, we're going to protect our customer because we make money off that customer. No, what the banks do is they surrender your money. They voluntarily hand your money to the Canada Revenue Agency. That's what people don't know. So Canadians go, well, the CRA took my money. No, they didn't. The bank gave it to them behind your back. Do you know how you deal with the bank? Sue them, make it millions for breach of contract and tort theft and pain and suffering, which is called special damages in Canada. Charge everybody in that branch with theft. You go to I'll teach you how to do this in future shows. You go to the local courthouse and you file what's called a private information, which is you filing criminal charges for theft and fraud against everyone that works there. And you know how you find their names? Go in and just grab all their business cards. That's it. Don't tell them what you're doing, and then go and charge them criminally. And it would just take 10 Canadians to have the balls to go and do that, and everything would change overnight. Okay, Big Thrill says they're offering halal mortgages after how many trillions of... Okay, yes. So halal mortgages are interest-free because in Islam, you're not allowed to make interest on your money. I guess it's the one good thing Islam has to offer. But where's Islam getting their money to give out these Sharia loans? From the Canadian taxpayer. Who do you think they're getting it from? It's not their money. Hey, why would they lend their money interest-free? They're lending Canadians money interest-free. And the government is giving it to them. Absolutely. Did you know that if the Canada Revenue Agency issues threats to you and says, you got to give us money, they'll send the same type of a requirement to pay letter to your boss. And you know what your boss could do? Nah, take me to court, which the CRA will never do. There's no consequences if you don't pay them. They don't take you to court. Your employer should have the balls and the brains to understand that the greatest asset that he has is his highly trained staff. And then what are you going to do as an employer? You get a letter from some faceless corporation telling you that you have to steal money and give it to someone else. And you're going to steal your employees' money, risking prison time to give your employees' money to the Canada Revenue Agency without a court order. I assure you, they never get court orders. You know what you need to do? Criminally charge your boss for theft. You sue your boss for tort theft and add special damages to it. So if your employer, let's say, takes $10,000 from you, sue him for $1 million and then go public with the information and contact me and I'll go public with the information on my show. And there's a few other podcasters that I talk to. They'll go public as well. We could then get all of you to gang up on that employer and give them nasty reviews, 1-star reviews on Yelp and on Google and the whole 9 yards. We need to cure the fear, the cowardice that Canadians have by taking their money away. That's what we got to do. You do not do jail time in Canada for owing money because the Canada Revenue Agency does not have any authority to do so. But Canadians believe they do. You know what they say? I don't want to go to jail, so I'm going to do my taxes. Yeah. You know how many times I hear that doing this job? Taxes for a living? I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want the police coming to my door. They don't. Yeah, they don't. I now have officially 15 police officers as clients because the CRA was ripping them off too. And no, you'll never know who they are because every single client I have, names, numbers, addresses, I'm going to give those to nobody. No one. You'll never compel me to give my clients information out. What I'm telling you, though, is that even the cops are victims of the Canada Revenue Agency. All right. Okay, Randy, that's a good point. He says you don't go to jail, but they lien your property. No, they writ your property. There's a difference. In Canada, if you've got a lien on your property, in some provinces, it's known as a caveat, which would state that you cannot sell or make any alterations to your property title ever until the lien is gone. But the CRA will put a writ against your house, which means they did not get a court order to do it. They just went ahead and registered it themselves, which is cheap. It's free to do. So you know what we do? We go directly to the courts. We file a motion to get rid of the writ because it was based on a guess. The CRA does not ever concretely state that you owe money. They always use the term assessment. They are guessing that you owe money, and then they guess the amount that you owe. They actually don't know. And I have about 40 plus recorded conversations with CRA representatives where they say, yeah, assessments are just guesses. We don't know, which means they know only what you tell them. So you want to know why Canada sucks is because everybody just gives up. As soon as a Canadian gets a threat from anyone, they just give up. I'm going to give you a prime example of what I am talking about. I was doing a lot of promotional work with a guy. I'm not going to give you his name because I don't want him to sell any more product because he was a real dick. All right. We had a really good contract in place. It was all to do with he had a hot sauce and barbecue sauce company. And I helped that guy make a lot of money selling his sauce. So what had happened is there is a Antifa member. His name is Kevin Metcalf. What this guy would do is he would put GoPro cameras on his body and then go and bump into police officers and bump into people and then say that he was assaulted and sue them. That's what he would do. An absolute loser. So this guy, I called him a loser and I called him out on all of his crazy stunts. And what he would do is he would find all of my clients and he would say, you know, you can't work with KevinJJohnston because I may be suing him, and by proxy, I may be suing you. And my clients, who is this guy? He's going to sue me. Ah! Like, really? Some loser says he's going to sue you in an email, and you call me and swear at me at the top of your lungs? You're an adult male over 40, and that's how you're going to treat me because you get an email from a member of Antifa. That's Canadian men. Weak. So terrified of a simple fucking lawsuit that they're willing to go to war with their suppliers, their friends, their colleagues, their business partners, their wives. Why is everybody so afraid of just going to court for a small claim? Well, that's also what I do for Canadians. I explain this to Canadians all the time. I don't think they get it. I tell everyone, don't put your house in your name, don't put your car in your name, and don't put any money into a personal bank account. You'll regret it. Put everything into numbered corporations, which act as a trust for you, and you'll never have anything taken from you. And I do this for Canadians. I've actually helped more than 100 people now move their houses and their money and their cars into numbered corporations. So if someone does threaten to sue you, so I've got no assets. And I tell Canadians this all the time too. There's a lot of bad Canadians out there. They just don't like me, because I've always got a smile on my face and I'm always doing podcasts where I'm sharing great information with people and I'm doing it for free mostly. So they sue me, or I insult them, or I divulge secrets about them that they don't want divulged, and they'll sue me. And I tell them at the beginning of everything saying, I buy and sell debt for a living. I'm literally $40 million in debt. Even though I'm wealthy, that wealth is hidden. Not just in Panama, but in other places too. It's hidden. But I do officially carry over $40 million of debt in Canada. So if you're suing me, it's the stupidest thing you can do, because I'm going to waste your time and the court's time. I'm going to file a defense, and I'm going to find ways to hold everything up. And when I am questioning you on the stand, it's going to go on and on and on for days. And then you're probably going to think that you can put me on the stand and ask me questions, which is not going to happen. I'm certainly not going on the stand ever. Why would I want to testify against myself in a court of law? Not ever going to happen. And even if you win, you're never getting paid. I tell people this in the courthouse before the court proceedings even start. But everyone thinks, he's just full of shit. I'm going to win and take his money. And then they learn. They learn that any assets I have, you're never going to find them. That's a promise. You'll never, not even with a private investigator are you going to find them. So you're throwing your money away suing me. And all of you out there could be as confident as I am in reference to these court issues in Canada if you just protect yourself. But that means expanding your mind instead of being afraid of what you don't know. Learn it. Then you'll know it. Then you're not afraid. It's remarkable how many people out there, they'll say, well, I don't understand it. Ergo, it's wrong. And I've had this one. This is the funniest thing going is I don't wear suits. Not here in Panama. It's hot. I've even got the air conditioning on, but I work out 5 days a week. My body is constantly at a higher body temperature. I'm a furnace. I'm always hot. So I'm working like 14 hours a day after my workouts. So I don't want to be in a suit and tie where I'm trapping body heat in. Cotton t-shirts. So this one guy says, I'm not going to listen to that asshole. He's not even wearing a suit. Yeah, he's in a t-shirt. So somehow me wearing a suit makes me what? Smarter? More believable? Perhaps in his mind, it's more believable. But I mean, I do now have something like 9,000 videos online. You certainly can look up 8 years of videos that I have been putting out on the internet and look and see if I've ever been wrong with anything I've said. Anything I've said over the last 8 years, you can simply verify it and see what mistakes they've made. I've made 2 mistakes on information when I was broadcasting. What did I do? What did I do when I found out that I was lied to? I apologized and corrected it. I always correct my mistakes. Cheers. That's what you're supposed to do as a man. Be accountable and fix it. Except, okay, hold on. Let me correct that though. Be accountable to those you need to be accountable to. Never be accountable to the Canadian government. Lie your ass off to them. Who cares about them? You know, you want to do taxes? You want to lie to the CRA? Go for it, man. Do it. Lie. They don't know anything other than what you tell them. There's nothing wrong with lying to people that work for the government. Nothing at all. Now, don't lie to the cops if you're under arrest because they'll get you on obstruction. Just say, lawyer, please, I'm going to remain silent today. Thank you, which is your right. But if you want to get ahead in life against government officials, tell those losers whatever they want to hear. Lie your ass off. It just doesn't matter. And I mean at all. At all. So now, in reference to Canada, I got to say that there are facets of Canada that I miss. I haven't been inside the country for a year. And in my 20s, I was not inside the country for 4 years. What I do miss about Canada is the natural beauty. Nature-wise, the place is gorgeous. I don't know if any of you have ever driven from Vancouver to Calgary through the Rocky Mountains, but when you're driving through mountains that are 14,000 feet tall, it's incredibly awe-inspiring. It's gorgeous. I love it. I don't know if any of you have ever driven through Northern Ontario or Southern Quebec or whatnot. It's gorgeous. The country is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, but it's a wreck. It's an absolute mess. The infrastructure is now crumbling completely, and there's no skilled labor forces to fix it. Why? Because third world trash doesn't work, and third world trash will never work. Third world trash will never learn because their brains are too small and the IQs are too low to figure any of that out. So the infrastructure sucks. The left wing, the radical leftist nut jobs, they run everything. They run the courts. They run the schools. They run the police. They run all the branches of government. So as it stands, no matter how beautiful the country is, there's always some goddamn cop there telling you that you can't enjoy it. Don't you dare have fun. The city of Hamilton has over 180 waterfalls. That's 44 kilometers west of Toronto. You used to be able to go for free to any of them. I would take my kids to waterfalls all the time because it's free to do. It's nature, and they loved doing it. Then the city of Hamilton decided to fence them all in and have their loser Hamilton pigs, or police they call themselves, pigs, stand there saying, you can't go see the waterfall. You see the fence? You can't go down there. You can't be near the waterfall. Literally, they closed off every waterfall. Why? Because they wanted you to go and spend money at the community centers. That's why. How dare you swim in a river for free? How dare you? Go to the pool and pay your $4 to go in there and swim with all the other rejects who crap in the pool. That's what they wanted. So Hamilton's done. Toronto, same idea. All the parks. What they would do is they would lock them up tight at 10 p.m. You couldn't go jogging in the parks after 10 p.m. in a lot of Toronto parks. Then they pulled that crap in other cities. Now, then there's this town called Banff in Alberta, which it's a very strange town. It's inside of a federal national park, inside of the province of Alberta, at the base of the mountains. So it's beautiful. But this town is essentially owned by the federal government. And if you want to live there, you have to pass all kinds of tests. Like you actually get tested and questioned by the federal government to be allowed to live there. What the hell, man? That's crazy. So even the most beautiful towns out there, you can't live there without government permission. Really? Yeah, Chad, really. That's really how it works. And I find myself wondering, if it's a federally owned town, then why the hell does it have bylaw officers? And why in the hell does it have a mayor? I don't get it. So there's all these layers of government in every single Canadian town in some way. Banff's the only one that I know of that's actually federally owned. But these are the issues that we have. City of Calgary, they decided to start throwing people out of parks. Not all the time. It's just randomly, the cops would show up. Okay, everyone, out of the park. You all got to go. Why? I don't get it. The city of Calgary put over $1 million out into building what's called pump tracks. They're really cool. They're made of this a rubbery asphalt, and you drop your bike into it, and it's got this really cool course. And if you just pump your bike with your handlebars like this, you don't even have to pedal to get through it. It's awesome. And the cops would show up randomly, and they did this to me at least 4 times that I could remember. They'd blow a whistle. All right, everybody, let's go. Oh, you get your bikes. You have to leave the park now. Why? I would even ask, guys, what are you doing? Don't you argue with me. Just get out of here. It's private property. And I'm thinking, okay, do I argue this? It's not private property. It's city property, but we just leave. Calgary also has this really amazing skate park. So once in a while, the cops would show up at the skate park and just kick everybody out. I mean, it's like an acre of skateboard park, concrete skateboard park, well built, but they kick you out. Why? Don't know. No explanations. So this type of thing where people are being kicked out of entertainment venues that are free is happening all over the country. Why are they doing it? To lower morale, to break your spirit, and get you to pay to go to the community centers, to get you to pay to go to the local pool or the local water park. Because there's a lot of city-run facilities that are too expensive, so people don't go. They go to enjoy Mother Nature instead. And you can't do it because the cops are constantly busting your chops, kicking you out of these parks. And Mauser makes a good point. Somebody is voting for this. Yeah, the Canadian public is voting for it because the Canadian public doesn't pay attention to a goddamn thing. It's that simple. If you were to maybe vote for the People's Party of Canada, I know a lot of the candidates running for it. They're just regular people. One of the guys running for the party was a garlic farmer. I'd much rather have a garlic farmer as a politician than a career politician, because the farmer will at least care about people, will at least care about something, some kind of a future for the country. But Canadians, nope, it's a new party. I'm not voting for it. No, I'm going to go with one of the big three. Retards. You're idiots. Why would you do that? It's so stupid. Or the Libertarian Party. I met a lot of Libertarian Party candidates. 5 of them were bikers, just not Harley Davidson Club bikers, not Hell's Angels. And they were all saying the same thing, that, yeah, we need less government. We want to get out of people's way. We want to be cool and interact and talk with the public so the public understands our policies. And do you think the Libertarians could get 1 seat in there? No, of course they couldn't. So Canadians will always vote for the Liberals or the PCs or the communist pedophiles of the New Democratic Party. And it's always going to be that way. And that is why it's pointless to be in Canada, because you've got the Canadian populace that constantly they hate the status quo, but they always vote for it every single time. And then go on social media and argue with each other about innocuous, asinine, stupid crap that means nothing. And I mean nothing. And like I said about an hour ago on my show here, getting onto my Facebook page, yelling at me at the top of your lungs about the fact that I want to essentially hire women to be the mother of my kids. We got to make them. I think I remember how. We got to make them. Getting onto my Facebook page and shouting at me and shouting at me on the phone and screaming in all other social media venues out there because you're offended by the fact that some dynamite looking white guy here wants to have more kids. It's weird. Don't you think it's weird that you care what I'm doing? Don't you think it's weird that you care what your neighbors are doing? Don't you think it's odd that you engage in gossip at all when the entire country is falling apart? You want to engage in gossip? What has gossip ever? Let me ask the left wingers out there who invariably will see this video. Has gossip ever made you money? Has gossip ever made you fitter, stronger, faster, smarter, better? Has gossip in any way ever gotten you into a good relationship? Has it made you good friends that just like you for who you are? Has gossip done anything for you at all of any benefit? Or has it actually hurt your relationships and made you look stupid on social media? Yeah, I think we all know what the answer is. So I'm asking Canadians out there, stop the gossip. I mean, you're not going to listen to me. I mean, it's in vain what I'm saying here, but stop it. Focus on improving you. Every Canadian out there is living in a communist country that is a complete police state. You should all be learning how to shoot. You should all be learning how to kill with your bare hands, how to fight. You should be in top-notch physical condition. You should learn how to fight with swords and knives, even baseball bats. You should be learning how to fight with these things because the government is coming for you. You're not going to be defending yourself against the common criminal. You'll be defending yourself against the government eventually. It's the government that's taking your kids. It's the government taking your money. It's the government showing up at your door telling you that you can't have an opinion on Twitter or whatever else you've got an opinion on. You should be worried about that, worried about improving you, not about me and my sexploits. God, man. So, Canada, I've said all this before on my show, different ways, different times, and so on. But the country really is done. It is over. It's not coming back. It'll take 100 years to undo the damage that not only Trudeau has done, but that you've done, Canada, with all the bowing down to the left wing. Antifa got loud and cried, and what did you do? You capitulated. Drag queens wanted to wiggle their dicks in front of kids. What did you do? You capitulated. Men, perverts, wanted to call themselves women and go into little girls' bathrooms. What did you do, Canada? You capitulated. That's right. You gave up. You gave in. You said, well, I guess it's okay. I don't want any trouble. Yeah, you did that. And Blunt Truth says, teaching my grandkids boxing, taekwondo. Good. Do it. Get musical instruments. Do it. young men listening to this show, if you can play guitar, or if you can sing, or if you can play drums, or you can talk publicly like I can, the chicks will throw themselves at you. And it's not me being sexist. That's not me being crass or rude or vulgar. It's just the truth. What was that guy's name? The guitarist of Metallica, the fat guy with the bald head. He even said it himself. He's the ugliest guitarist in all of heavy metal. And the guy asked him, do you get a lot of chicks just because you can play guitar? Oh, yeah. He said it. It was a very good interview. So improve yourselves. All of you, ladies included. And for the women out there who are asking, where's all the good men at? Well, the good ones out there mostly are single. So if you are a really good woman and you're looking for a really good chivalrous guy who knows how to treat a lady, you should be looking for the single ones right now who are pretty much over 40, the ones who don't care if they're in a relationship or not, or the ones who have come out and publicly stated that they're not in a relationship currently and they're not looking for one because their career is a lot more fun. And there's a lot of dudes out there like that right now. I talk to a lot of men, and the good ones are pretty much all single. Pretty much. Yeah. And the best part about being single is that really hot chicks like this one right here, Blunt Truth, they show up and make positive comments in your feed. So thank you for that. All right, let me just check the Rumble room and see if there's any questions here that I need to address. Oh, the room is busy tonight. Oh, someone's saying that they want proof that I can lift 45 pounds with my tongue. Only select ladies are ever going to get that evidence. All right? All right. Just making sure we're clear on that. All righty. Yeah, people are just talking about the fact that you got to buy passes. They got to buy passes to go on mountain hiking trails and whatnot. You know, everywhere you go in Canada, you got to pay for something. You can't just show up and do shit for free. Oh, Blunt Truth. Look at that. She fires back. She does the Kegels. Call me. We need to compare notes. All right. Look, everyone, we're down to our last minute here. So if there's any more questions, I'll field one more question in either the TikTok or Kick or the Rumble room. I don't think we're really broadcasting much on Facebook right now because, you know, we got shut down. Oh, yeah, look at that. Chad makes a good point. You can't camp on Crown land in the province of Alberta anymore. That's a crime because that is one of the big draws for me going to Alberta. I was just pulling the car over and saying, yeah, good spot, tent, relax. God, you got to buy a permit. Not surprised. You know, here in Panama, here's what you can do on the beach without permits. Ready for this? Have a party, fish, have a barbecue, and have a campfire and camp on the beach. Yep. All that. No permit. And you can do that right inside the city limit. There's a couple of beaches in town where people will set up a tent and they'll just hang out for the night. You know, they'll sing songs until the wee hours of the morning. And in the morning, they clean up the mess of the campfire. They pick up all the wood, put it in the garbage. They rake out the char in the sand, and everything's good. Yes, and Freddie, you can sue the bank, but I'm going to have to cover that one a bit more on my Thursday night show as we are we're out of time, everybody. I got to get going here. So I want to say thank you to all of you for being here tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure telling all of you why my homeland of Canada sucks. I think I covered about 5% of what I really want to cover because Canada just absolutely sucks. And if you are looking to get a hold of me, hit me up on my personal website. That's KevinJJohnston.com. And if you do want to make comments in the Rumble room, just type in freedomreport.ca and you can follow me on Rumble. Please, actually, everybody who's not on Rumble, follow me on Rumble because YouTube is probably going to take me down after tonight's show. I'm sure of that. Facebook already has. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining me on X tonight. The X crowd's been really big tonight. Thank you for that. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show that runs every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on freedomreport.ca. I love you all, and good night.